Relationship advice. Update. My 22 female sister 25 female is being outright cruel about my pregnancy and baby. Original story. I gave birth 10 months ago to an amazing baby girl, and my husband 23 male and I, though not actively trying, managed to conceive a second baby. This pregnancy is about 4 months along. My sister keeps saying that I ruined my body and commenting on my post-pregnancy body, saying she doesn't know how my husband can stand to look at me. Though she's not saying anything to or about my husband, she's also commenting on our relationship in a derogatory manner, particularly the speed with which we married. Shotgun wedding because baby. However, the thing that really sealed this for me came about a week ago when we, me, husband, baby, sister, our parents, were together in person for the first time since I gave birth, and my sister referred to my 10-month-old as a little C-word. For context, we are in the UK, where most people just say the C-word, as the word itself is considered to be the foulest word possible. My husband and I also told people about my second pregnancy at this gathering, and she called us stupid freaking C-words and told me not to come crying to her when my husband leaves me. My sister has never been married, never had kids, has no interest in having children, and no one has ever questioned any of this. So I have no idea where this is coming from or why her reaction was so extreme. But Jesus Christ. That is the first time she has ever met my child, and I am a married adult woman, so I have no idea why any of her reactions were so strong, but I am concerned. Should I, and how do I address this with her? Does anyone have any idea what her problem is? Now for the top advice before reading the update. What is your immediate family doing / saying during these comments of hers? Are they just shrugging it off? How does she get away with such vile comments? She needs to be told off by everyone in her vicinity. Immediately following that outburst, she stormed off. I went to follow her, but my husband and parents stopped me and we discussed her outburst briefly, and they congratulated us on the pregnancy, so no one said anything to my sister for that time. And after that, my husband and I left and our parents went after her, told her off, and told her to apologize. That would be the last time I would be talking to sister for a long time, even if she apologizes. You don't need that negativity in your life. I just wouldn't talk to her. Cursing at kids? Your kids? That's the part that gets me. Why would she even say it in front of the parents? Sister just needs to be cut out with a simple learn to respect me and my kids. One of my family members cursed at one of my kids. It was the last time we stepped into their house and have not seen or spoken to them since. Once that respect is broken, you are dead to me. Gonna be unpopular opinion, but personally, attacking someone's kid as well as making comments and almost everything about someone else is perfect grounds to get smacked up. I can't speak for everyone else, but this is certainly not unpopular with me. I'm only hesitating because it feels like something bigger is going on here. This was really extreme, even for my sister. And now for the update. At the time of my last post, my parents did not know that my sister had called my 10-month-old a C-word. I went to their house for some baby stuff, and during that visit I informed them, and they were shocked. My father immediately had my sister come downstairs for a talk. She tried to play it off, but our parents wouldn't let her. And by the end of that talk, she admitted she was jealous of my husband. Not my baby or my marriage itself, just my husband, who is attractive, a good provider, and loves me. She apologized and asked if we could start over, which I agreed to, more for our parents than for her. Turns out, that was a terrible idea. Our parents invited us to dinner that night, and she spent the entire night throwing herself at my husband, to such an extent that our dad called her out. My husband at one point went to the bathroom, my sister left the room, and then my husband came back shortly after and said that she asked him to leave me and the kids for her. We then left, and my sister called a few hours later and apologized again, saying she didn't know what came over her. I then told her to go screw herself. My father agrees that her actions were inappropriate and has said that he will pay for her to have private therapy, while my mother has said that she apologized, so I should forgive her and we should all try and move past this. My husband and I agreed that our family units would be taking a break from my sister, possibly forever, possibly until she's had that therapy Dad mentioned. But either way, she tried to seduce my husband while I was in the room, so I don't know what is going on with her. But clearly something is up. And until she sorts herself out, we're not touching it. Your father has the right idea. Words without actions are simply colorful lies. Your sister has already apologized for her horrible actions, yet she continued and one-upped them. She needs help, and until she demonstrates change, not just blathers an apology, I would have nothing to do with her. Yeah, OP, whenever I see posts like this, I think about this. If you left your purse out, and your sister tried to steal it, how many times would you leave your purse out for her? Your husband isn't a thing, but he is someone precious to you. I don't think it's worth even the 1% risk that your sister creates a big issue between you and your husband. I think this last episode should be the last time either of you see your sister. Your parents should come to your house from now on. Your sister did something awful. Now she has to live with the consequences of her actions. And those consequences are that she's done in your lives. Wow. Also, what is your mother thinking? Tell your mother that in order to help your sister in the best way possible, you will be keeping you and your husband away from her. I remember that you needed your mom for childcare support. I really hope that you can find an alternate solution. Parents can very often have a hard time accepting that their kids are irredeemable. I get it. I mean, they go through a pregnancy, birth a child that is a part of each of them, nurture and raise it through nursing, sleepless nights, potty training, ABCs, school, parenting, the health of adolescents, etc., etc. I can't imagine how one could easily accept that they have taken that innocent from baby to adulthood and it somehow turned out to be turd. I think it would be nearly impossible for me to give up on them, unless they had done something seriously morally unforgivable. What the hell is wrong with your mother? Would she forgive if her own sister did this to her? Gross as hell. She says my sister is going through a hard time, having to live with mom and dad. And me being in a loving relationship combined with having my own place and being further along in life milestones is making my sister feel bad, so I should cut her some slack here. Lol, nope. How many women who have had bad times in their lives try to seduce their sister's husband? This is not a cut some slack situation. She asked your husband to leave his family for her. Your sister is malicious, and the way your mom behaves, I suspect she's the golden child. Suggestion: no contact with her for the rest of your life. If your mom keeps saying this, go low contact with her too. Now for the next story. My 33 male, sister 29 female is upset that I won't let her family stay with me. I'm currently married to my wife, and we have a 3-year-old son. We bought a house and we are financially quite secure. My sister recently had twins last year. They were never ever financially stable till that point, working odd jobs and whatnot, but they finally figured it out. But they didn't expect 2 babies. And at the same time, the pandemic hit and their finances took a heavy blow. Apparently, they took out loans to keep their family afloat. Somehow, 3 months after her birth, my sister got pregnant. We all told her to think about this wisely. She could barely support herself and her 2 children. A third would not be wise. She went ahead with it and had to cough up $10,000 not covered by insurance on a C-section. She and her husband are $50,000 in debt. It isn't so bad, except for the fact they haven't held a job for more than a year at a time, and now my sister is sidelined taking care of 3 newborns. They now can't afford a rent after all that. It seems like there isn't a lot of government support except for some food stamps, and I think a little bit of money. She has asked to live with me. My son is just getting out of the phase where we have to watch him 24/7. We can put him to bed and relax for an hour. I don't know how I could ever relax with 3 newborns. But for my sister, I was open. I asked her how long would she need, and she said 1 to 2 years. I told her that wasn't happening. They want to make enough money so they can pay off some of the loans to improve their credit. However, that's way too long. I also know legally they could make us think. And I know my sister. She dragged me through the mud if it meant a nice home for her. I finally offered her 3 months rent in a 2-bedroom apartment. She has been crying since saying I don't care for my nephews/nieces. I felt bad, but I told her that I'm not supporting her bad choices. This was on her. But as a grown adult, she needs to figure it out. My parents called me to be understanding, but when I put them on the spot, they immediately quieted down. My sister is upset and calling me crying every day, saying she can't put food on her table or buy diapers for her kids. I'm at loss for what to do. Now for the top advice. I suppose marks to them for honesty that they need years to get back on their feet. That is what it is going to take. Longer if they keep having more kids, which all the indications are that they will. Your offer of 2 months' rent is more than generous. Now they need some months paid by other members of the family. Your parents, father's parents, etc., etc. The father needs to get a job. Any job. He works at a gas station for below minimum wage. Okay, I take that back. Any minimum or above wage job. No offense, but if you let her move in, she'll likely try and pull all sorts of legal insanity to not leave. Don't do it. I know you want to help, and you made her a great offer with 2 months in an apartment. But if she won't take that, then she's looking for an easy way out, not a responsible one. I also know legally they could make a stink, and I know my sister should drag me through the mud if it meant a nice home for her. This was the most telling part of the post. I hope he knows the right answer already. My parents called me to be understanding. Great. Looks like your parents are willing to help. She can go to them. After all, she's their daughter and are somewhat responsible in her education, leading to her poor choices. I doubt they will like this, but have they considered Chapter 7 bankruptcy? Maybe they could talk to a lawyer. We had to do this 30 years ago, but he told us to find a place to live before doing it, because otherwise no one will rent to us. So we found a small house. It was humiliating, but such a relief to start over. 30 years later, we own our own house and put 3 kids through college. If they don't have a degree, it will be much harder. They must purge every unnecessary cost. We were able to keep our car because we kept up the payments. If they want to consider it, they should talk to a bankruptcy lawyer. I don't know the current rules. We did it and lived 3,000 miles from our family and never asked for money. Though I know they'd have taken us in if the alternative was living on the street. They're so far in debt, they'll never pay it off with minimum wage. In Michigan, there are help wanted signs all over. Now for the last story. My 17 female best friend 17 female is actively trying to date my boyfriend 17 male, despite knowing we're together because she feels that she deserves it after going through emotional trauma. To give a bit of background, my boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years as of March, and we are both intent on keeping it long term. My friend was the first person I became friends with in primary school, and I have been in varying levels of contact with her myself, but still hold a lot of respect for her. My boyfriend and I are both pretty avid video gamers, and we would play various games with a variety of people. During one game, we were running short on people to invite, so I ended up asking her to join us, as some people were familiar with her and it seemed to be a good opportunity to catch up. Now, my boyfriend is definitely not the confrontational type, and tries to be a good person when he can. Friend happened to be new to the game, and he was giving her quite a lot of pointers on how to start out, etc. Even when she started going to slightly questionable lengths, like following him around and only cheering for him, he didn't say anything, probably because he didn't think anything of it. Fast forward to about 3 months later, I happened to be meeting up with friend and some others from my primary school to catch up. During this, the conversations at some point turns towards the game we were playing, and she, with visible enthusiasm, exclaims about how kind he was to her, and how she would make out with him if she could. By this time, my relationship with this boy was very much public, and I have no doubt in my mind that she was aware of this. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a timid myself, and didn't say anything to her about it, thinking it was just a phase. Another 4 months later, I find out from a close friend, who doesn't know me and my boyfriend are together, that she has been talking to her about how she feels deeply for my boyfriend, and feels upset when he isn't texting her, which she communicated to me himself was because he wasn't interested. I saw text messages proclaiming about how much she liked his appearance, personality, all the jazz. At this point, I felt like it had gotten a bit out of hand. So I personally decided to talk to her about how my boundaries were important, and neither me nor my boyfriend appreciated her attempts to flirt with him. From this, she decided to go into a tangent about how hard high school has been for her, and how much she wanted a boyfriend, as it was about 2 months since she ended her last relationship. She's currently not talking to me, and I've heard from my boyfriend that her constant attempts to message him are getting more intense. She knows that it has always been my dream to work in the medical field, and recently she told my boyfriend about how she wants to enroll in med school after spending 6 years judging me for putting a lot of effort into my studies. To make things worse, she has been telling him that she will show up to his house without me knowing and steal him from me. Since we were in primary school, every time I told her I had a crush on someone, she would make it her primary goal to pursue and get them to crush on her. Which is why I think she's so hesitant now, as I never said anything to her as I was a child. However, my relationship with her is one I cherish a lot, and I don't want to lose her, but at the same time, I don't want to be sharing my boyfriend with someone else. I need some guidance in choosing what to do, so I came here for any help. Your friend is an a-hole and I wouldn't be friends with her. Ah yes, friend. OP needs to stand up for her partner. He's being harassed and stalked by the psycho. And the reason why he hasn't done anything about it? He's scared of causing a rift between friends and being the cause of an issue. His reactions are very common for someone in that position. This. OP, you are allowing your friend to bother your boyfriend, and that is not okay. Block her. Tell your boyfriend to block her and find better friends. She is not your friend. Like at all. Not even a little bit. Your boyfriend needs to outright say, I'm not interested. Leave me alone and do not contact me. And he needs to be proactive in making sure everyone around her knows he's not interested. He's never been interested, and she's going to much further lengths than he's comfortable with to convince him to be interested. She's going to talk crap. Cut her out of your life, trust me. These kinds of people just get worse. I had a similar situation, and I immediately just tossed them out of my life. One of the best decisions I ever made. She's not a friend. She is a witch. Cut contact with her in all ways, and make sure your boyfriend blocks her.